In the year 1910, the city of Salonik breathed with 1,000 lungs. In the Ismailiye district, the air was a thick tapestry of roasted coffee, sea salt, and the sweet scent of jasmine climbing over garden walls. Adam walked these streets with the steady gait of a man who belonged to every corner. He adjusted his crimson fez, feeling the weight of the morning sun. To him, the city was not just a map of cobblestones, but a living diary of the Ottoman Empire, written in the many languages of its people. Adam worked as an apprentice in a small bookbindery, tucked between a mosque and a synagogue. His hands were often stained with ink and the scent of old leather. He spent his hours meticulously stitching together pages of poetry and law. For Adam, every book was a bridge between the past and the uncertain future. He felt the tension in the air, the whispers of distant wars. But here, within the scent of glue and parchment, the world felt unified and still. One afternoon, Reina entered the shop. She carried a bundle of silk embroidered with patterns that mirrored the Iznik tiles of the great mosque. Her family owned a prestigious textile boutique, and she often came to exchange stories of patterns and poems with Adam. As they stood over a shared desk, the boundaries of their different worlds seemed to vanish. Reina spoke of the Sephardic melodies her grandmother sang, while Adam described the Sufi chants he heard at night. High above the district, the venerable Sheikh Idris watched the city from the balcony of a small tekke. He was a man whose soul seemed as deep as the Aegean Sea. Idris was a guardian of the city's spiritual peace, a man who believed that the diverse faiths of Salonik were different flowers in the same garden. He closed his eyes as the call to prayer rose from the minaret, perfectly timed with the distant, rhythmic tolling of a church bell. At the local coffee house, the atmosphere was often thick with smoke and heavy conversation. Adam often met Idris there to listen to the elders' wisdom. While younger men spoke of revolution and the coming Balkan League, Idris spoke of the common bread. He reminded Adam that regardless of the flags that might fly tomorrow, the people of Ismailiye had shared the same water and the same sorrows for centuries. Reina spent her evenings in the Meldado, the traditional Jewish school, where she helped teach the younger children. The room was filled with the sounds of Ladino, the language of her ancestors. She looked out the window at the passing crowds, soldiers in uniform, merchants in robes, and women in veils. She wondered if the fragile peace of their neighborhood could survive the gathering storm of nationalism that threatened to tear the Balkan fabric apart. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, painting the white tower in shades of amber, Adam and Reina met by the waterfront. This was their sanctuary, away from the watchful eyes of the district. The sea didn't care for borders or creeds. It only reflected the light. They spoke of their dreams, his to write a history of the city, hers to design silks that told the stories of all the women of Salonik. Idris sat under the ancient plane tree in the courtyard of the mosque, surrounded by scrolls and students. He taught that true faith was found in the service of one's neighbor. He watched Adam approach, sensing the young man's anxiety. Idris opened a scroll of Rumi's poetry and began to read aloud, his voice a soothing balm against the distant rumblings of political change. He knew that times of transition required the strongest hearts. The news reached the district like a sudden chill in autumn. The Balkan Wars were no longer a rumor. They were a certainty. Adam stood in the center of the market, watching people hurry to board up their shops. He saw a discarded newspaper on the ground, with headlines shouting of mobilization. The vibrant, multicultural life of Ismailiye felt suddenly breathless, as if the city were holding its breath before a great plunge. On their last evening before the world changed, Adam and Reina stood together one last time. They didn't speak of the war or the maps being redrawn. Instead, they promised to carry the scent of the jasmine and the sound of the bells within them. Whatever happened to the Ottoman Salonik, the spirit of Ismailiye would live on in the stories they told and the love they held for their shared home. They looked toward the stars, the same stars that had shone over the city since the beginning of time.